hit record and we'll go from there. Always. That's what makes it fun. I love the editing job when we do these. Because it's like, ooh, where do I? And I can get so micro granular to the millisecond. It's really kind of cool.
What do you edit these in?
Anchor, the actual, the one that I upload to. And then Anchor connects to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just automatically sends it in a couple of hours. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. So, hi, Paige.
Hi, David.
Ooh. I think I could get used to you saying that.
What do you mean? That's
hi,
your name.
David. I know, but from you and your velvety, lovely voice, my dear. It is.
Noted, David.
Oh, welcome to the Daring Deeply podcast. Welcome to another fabulous, fantastic episode. It is absolutely gorgeous when we're recording this. I know we're starting with the weather. I love the weather. You and I love the outdoors. It is stunning today. It may be even a pool day, a little bit of sunshine this afternoon here in Nashville, Tennessee. So David Lea Paige Stuart.
You got it.
Yeah, with Daring Deeply for another episode of the Daring Deeply podcast. How are you, sweetie? What's going on? What's the latest? How are you? You look gorgeous this morning.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm feeling in my journal this morning, I said, I am feeling more magnetic by the day. And it's very invigorating. It's very empowering. I feel more in line with me and my authentic self. So it's just like, boom, this is amazing.
Magnetic. What a powerful word. I love that. I love it. Magnetic. I'm curious, and we'll get into our subject today. Of course, we could probably just riff right on this podcast and be good with it. So magnetic, how did you interpret that?
How do I interpret the term magnetic?
I
feel magnetic to my desires and like what I want out of creative projects, what I want out of business, what I want as for clients, wealth, health, our relationship, everything that I am desiring right now, I feel very magnetic to. Does that make sense?
It does. Drawn, aligned.
Yes.
But of the magnetism,
yes.
Which is a fantastic segue, actually. Magnetism to what we're going to talk about. And we dabble in this often, but we talk about it all the time with our clients. And it's super important to understand that so much of the work that we do in helping our clients is to find this beautiful intersection between the healing of trauma and realizing the power of masculine energy and feminine energy and the magnetism of the polarity therein, right? And finding that intersection has been really powerful. I think because you and I lead this coaching practice together as the masculine and the feminine, and also have and retain our autonomy in the business and in our lives and in our relationship. And so what we're going to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are watching or listening to this podcast, we're going to delve into a little bit of our personal relationship, and as it also reflects into our business relationship. I was on a Zoom call yesterday with a good friend of mine who lives in the New York area, and he was asking the question to me, and I think I shared this a little bit with you, Paige, yesterday. He was asking about our boundaries. He was asking about our personal relationship, our professional relationship, how all that works. And I was sharing with him very vulnerably that it's tough. It's challenging at times to ensure that we're holding boundaries and who are we, and that we're not enmeshed and we don't come across certainly, and we don't live in a presence of, well, we're always together and we're one entity. We're very separate entities, and we retain our autonomy. And it's really super empowering for each of us. In fact, it's the reason, and we get questions like, why are you and David, who live together in the same space, why are you on different screens when you're doing podcasts together, when you're holding calls with your clients, and you are literally 50 feet away from each other? And there's a very specific reason for that, to retain our autonomy, to say, this is Paige Stuart, and this is David Lea. And although they're in love and they're doing business together and they're doing all of these things together, that they retain their interdependence. And so we're going to dive into that conversation today and talk about our boundaries and polarity and giving and receiving and realizing how it looks in a relationship in which we are working consistently and constantly with lots and lots of positive and elevated effort to ensure that we're taking care of ourselves and that we're taking care of each other in the relationship and within business. And so now I'm going to be quiet and let you talk.
Wow, such a powerful conversation and so well said. As you mentioned, it can be incredibly challenging. And there have been times where it has been incredibly challenging for us because those lines, those boundaries just get really blurry. And often what we have found is helpful is to say, we communicate it. Like when it reaches a certain time of day, or if we're going out to dinner, we'll ask, or it'll be a question or it'll be a statement like, hey, are we talking about business at this dinner, or is business off the table? And so being able to just communicate openly kind of helps set the stage for both parties to hold those boundaries accountable, hold each other accountable to those boundaries.
Yeah, really, really powerful. Because if not, we lose our autonomy, our independence. And I know you have been in prior relationships. I have been in prior relationships prior to us coming together on the personal side and certainly in business, where we have become enmeshed, where we have lost who we are. Because, and I will say this, there is certainly an unhealthy narrative in programming to coupledom and relationships that says, oh, we do everything together and we come one together and two shall become one, and all of this interesting language, which we challenge consistently. It's super important that we hold and retain our autonomy, both in business and in personal. So all that to say, I want to really dive into this conversation today about masculine energy, feminine energy, and polarity, and the necessity in that, in how a relationship, and we're speaking specifically from our experience, which is a heterosexual masculine and feminine relationship. So I wanted to make that very, very well known for all of our non-binary, gay, trans folks out there. We love you, we love you, love you. And through this particular container today, we're talking about heterosexual relationships. So there's a story I would love to share here at the top, and I've shared this with clients all this week, and it's become very, very powerful, and it has moved some of our clients to an emotional setting of tears and whatnot when I tell this story. And it's really a simple story. So Paige and I have been working really tirelessly on understanding my more masculine forward energy and feminine, and Paige's feminine energy moving forward, and really recognizing and realizing that polarity. And something happened last week. Both Paige and I were sitting on the couch watching a television show together. It might have been NBA basketball. We're in the midst of playoffs right now, and she and I love NBA. And so we were watching the Bucks. Yes, yeah. For those of you that may be Bucks fans, Milwaukee Bucks fans, we're certainly Milwaukee Bucks fans, but we're NBA fans. We're really we're fans of certain players, but we really, really, really resonate with the Milwaukee Bucks. So shout out to our friend Justin, who is a huge Bucks fan and probably got us to kind of get into that space. But anyway, we were watching something, and Paige looked at me and she said, "Babe, will you go grab me some water?" Now, I will have to say that this may seem incredibly small, but it was a profound moment in our relationship, because the reality is this is one of the rare times, if any, that Paige has asked me for something in this capacity. And what I mean by that is we were both sitting on the couch. I was none closer to the kitchen than she was. Right? And she simply invited me to give to her. Now, this is evidence of her leaning and surrendering into her feminine and inviting me to give to her from my masculine energy. Super important. I was so excited. I can give to her. I hopped off that couch. I grabbed that jar and I filled that water and brought it back to her. Now, this may not seem that profound, but it's a real microcosm to how masculine and feminine polarity must exist within a relationship. And it's super, super, super challenging in the midst of so much of the narrative between masculine and feminine in this day and age. I know for me, I have in the past been attracted to very masculine forward women and thought that that was exactly what I wanted and needed. And I thought, wow, they're really powerful and forward and leading their own businesses and running their own lives and doing all of this. And what I've come to understand is that then had me step back more into my feminine energy, and the polarization was reversed. And now, as Paige and I'm going to let Paige kind of give her side of the story here in just a moment. What I've come to understand is I feel so robust, so powerful when she simply asks me to give to her. And more importantly, I would say, is that she surrenders and receives when I give to her. Because this is so funny, some of the greatest conflicts you and I have had, Paige, is when we are both trying to give to each other at the same time. And it seems like, golly, what a horrible problem. What a great problem to have is we have two partners who are trying to give, but it does pose an angular and dysregulated look into the polarity of masculine and feminine. Your thoughts, my dear?
Yeah, two givers, it doesn't work. That's two very masculine energies. And we talk about that is not the right combination of energy. It just will never work. And so there's always one giver, which is masculine, and always one receiver, which is feminine. Doesn't necessarily mean male, female. It's more the core of that particular energy of the person. Anyway, I was a little hesitant in that moment because I just thought, I am a very capable woman. I can easily get myself up off this couch, go over to the kitchen, fill my glass with water, and then I can return back to the couch. But I was a little hesitant to ask, like, hey babe, would you be open to grabbing me some water? And I think the look on your face, I think you stopped, immediately looked at me, just like bug eyes, and then just like, you're like, yes, I will. And then you got on up and you're back in just a couple of seconds. And in that moment, like I mentioned, I was hesitant to even ask. And so that was kind of me stepping out of my comfort zone and allowing you to serve me and allowing me to be served, which is a really big deal coming from, as I have been in that very masculine forward role, because I am a highly capable woman and I can take care of myself and I can do it all. Right. And I certainly can. And it's more natural and more comfortable, more aligned and more magnetic for me to be in my core feminine energy of receiving. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm a mooch, right? And that is something that I had to work through in my brain and in my body. That does not mean that I am a mooch. It means that I am surrendering to the leadership of my masculine partner. And that's really beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. For those that may not know the definition of mooch, there may be some. So I know that there has been this resonating conflict with both the masculine and the feminine to call women who are really easily into their ability to receive as high maintenance, as princesses, as give to me. This is what we're not referring to, right? And there is this beautiful receptivity and giving, and this beautiful synergy between us two, and what we're really working hard to lean further into our core energies. And I know, because of how much work we put into our relationship and the trust that we build, is that when you looked at me and said, hey babe, you give me this water, I not for one moment thought, you can get your happy ass up off the couch and go take it. And I noticed that we just had the same response. And if you're watching this, you will see what I did and what Paige did about 30 seconds ago, when we both went like this, right? With a little bit of attitude. I'm a grown ass woman. I'm a grown ass man. I don't need any help.
Wagging the finger.
Little
head bob.
Little head bob, right? And the reality is that I cannot wait to give to Paige. in all capacities, okay? Spiritually, okay? Sexually, giving, providing, financially, in so many ways. And she, in her core energy, is ready to receive. Now, that doesn't mean that Paige never steps forward in her masculine and never does give and never does provide me some support and love and honor and cherishment. But it is when I am in my core forward masculine energy to give to her. One of the examples that we've used over the past several weeks and months, Paige, and you'll resonate with this, you'll remember this, is we never ever hear a feminine forward woman say to her man, I'm going to give you the moon, babe. I'm going to give you the world. We never hear that naturally. We hear men who go to the lengths of the earth to give and pursue his woman and say, I'm going to give you the moon. I'm going to give you the world, right? And when a woman feels the protection and the provision and the safety and the security of that healthy masculine forward energy, that's when that polarity is right and feels synergistic and feels aligned and empowered.
Mm-hmm. It makes me chuckle to hear that, trying to imagine a woman saying that. It's obtuse, right? It's a juxtaposition. It doesn't quite work. And I loved when you said that it doesn't mean that I don't give to you, because I love giving to you. And now, rather than me trying to outgive and compete with you, like who's giving to who, and now we have this tit for tat and we have this tally system and very contractual. Now I'm giving from this place of overflow, right? By receiving, I am receiving, and it is filling me and it is fueling me. And from that energy, I am then able to give because I want to, because it brings me so much joy, and it brings me gratitude and playfulness that I get to serve you. But it's not from a place of I have to do this so that blank.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I believe it was the next day after the filling the water glass when you were sitting in a chair and I was standing in front of you and you had just finished a protein bar. Yeah, you remember this, right?
I can think of a few examples.
Yeah. I mean, it's wonderful.
It's like a snowball effect.
It's amazing. Exactly. It's like when something works, you want to repeat it, right? And so she's sitting in a chair. I'm standing in front of her. We're having a conversation. She finishes this protein bar. It's an empty wrapper, and she simply hands it to me, right? And says, will you throw this away for me, please? I don't remember exactly. But there again, you were inviting me to give to you, to serve you, right? Could you have gotten up out of the chair and got not the point? The point is the natural masculine energy forward is to give to you. And that in so many ways is just and support the feminine to ensure that she feels cherished, honored, and loved.
And this doesn't mean that you're my slave or my servant,
Exactly.
right? This doesn't mean that you're just at my beck and call.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's a very important distinction to understand, because that's where the boundaries come into play. And yeah.
Yeah, it's super important. And that's why, shockingly, communication is the utmost importance here in this, right? It's not simply and this just came to mind intuitively. We cannot read each other's minds, right? So often the wounded feminine wants so to be served and to receive from her masculine. And the trauma that comes into it, a trauma response is not to ask for what she wants, but to assume that the masculine knows what she wants. This is a super important responsibility of the healthy feminine moving forward, is to be confident in her boundaries and what she wants and what she really, really is striving for in life, to ask the masculine to provide that for her, regardless of his response and where he is in his journey in realizing stepping forward into his masculine. So I can't read Paige's mind, right? I can ask, right? And sometimes she can say, yes, that would be fantastic. But I need for her, right, to know who she is, right? To be able to say, yes, this is what I am looking for. This is what I'm want to receive, right? And it's my responsibility, right, as the masculine forward energy, the healthy masculine forward energy, right, to know her, to know her. This is an incredibly powerful idea. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching and listening, how does it feel? Here's a question for you. How does it feel to be known, right? It feels so incredibly good inside the body for someone to know who we are and what we want and what we desire. And then out of the other corner of my mouth, I will say it's super important to communicate what you want and desire. Because when we go into assumptions, we all know what assumptions mean, right? The assume, right? Ask out of you and me. We cannot assume, and we must communicate to our partner on what we are giving from the masculine and what we want to receive from the feminine.
Bingo. It is so powerful to be able to use your voice in that way, and to be open to receiving your partner's voice in that way too. The other memory that popped into my brain. So after the water situation, after the wrapper situation, the next one is, I believe we were out to dinner. We were out to dinner. We both had finished our meal. We had to-go boxes. We were getting ready to leave.
I do remember this. Yeah.
And then I just kind of looked at you with my fingertips on the top of my to-go box sitting across the table from you. And I slowly slid the box over to your side of the table, indicating that I would love for you to carry that for me. And you just smiled and laughed. And it was a really funny, playful moment. And
it was.
I could tell that we both could tell that the giving and receiving polarization was getting more comfortable for the both of us, just so quickly. It was like a snowball effect.
Yeah. It was beautiful. I remember feeling, and this just came across to me. So the masculine core energy audience who's listening, and also their partners, super important for the masculine to understand what I'm about to say. It is a necessary burden for the masculine to carry the giving energy moving forward. Now,
repeat that.
Maybe, I don't know if I can. It is absolutely essential to understand the necessary burden the masculine energy must carry. Now, I realize that there are those that are watching and listening to this right now that may hear the word burden and go, and be triggered, right? And be triggered. That is a trauma response, and we want to honor that part. We want to honor that response.
Or perhaps there's another word other than burden.
It's not coming to me right now, but there is the burden is simply, and I would love to look at the dictionary definition of this, because we have so much attached individually to syntax, two words. And so I'm going to use the word burden here, and I'm going to remain in that. I feel called to say that.
Would you like the definition? I just looked it up.
I would, absolutely. You betcha. Live and right here. Here she is, Paige Stuart, with the definition of burden.
Burden, noun. It says a load, typically a heavy one.
Okay. So let me unpack that very definition. We also can have a negative or a trauma response to the word heavy. Okay. But let us remind the audience, okay, when it comes to physical movement and exercise, we must move things that are what? Heavy. To see change, to see transformation, to see growth. So I will invite us, and I'm going to stand strong in this. And I would love to hear and see all feedback based on this. So this is just coming to me, right? This is just now live coming to me, unprepared. There is a necessary burden that the masculine forward energy wants to embrace and embody. And it reminds me of those three particular moments, Paige, in our recent interaction: the glass of water, the paper, the wrapper, and me carrying your food. It is a burden in the fact of carrying weight, but it is an honor that the masculine forward energy must embrace and embody. It is
And
a necessary burden. It feels, in fact, as I'm talking about it, it feels incredibly good. And let me say this: when the feminine does not provide and hold space for us to carry that burden by not receiving what we have to give, it leaves us in the cold and then leads to
disconnection.
Disconnection. Emasculation is the word I was looking for.
Mm.
So the masculine forward energy, ladies, must be given space to hold for you to receive us. Now, there are so many factors in this, right? I know that so many who are listening and watching, so many women have been hurt, right? Because of a unhealthy masculine energy, right? I can't trust him. How do I know that I'm going to continue to receive from him? What will he be giving me? Will it be good enough? I mean, these are all trauma responses.
Is it
right?
genuine?
Is it genuine? Yeah, really powerful. So I'm going to pause. That was a lot right there. And I would love to hear your response, Paige.
Yeah, that was powerful. I love that. I love your perspective of it being necessary and it being a must. And I related to, I could almost feel you when you said it feels cold without it. Like you feel alive with it and it feels cold without it. And so the word necessary feels very profound and feels very impactful. And giving serves the masculine. That's how the masculine fills his cup, is by giving and providing and protecting and serving.
Wow. That was, and I love hearing that from you and our audience. Please receive that, right? That is coming from the feminine, right? Go ahead.
I have a question though. Don't you get
please.
tired? Don't you get tired of giving?
It's a great question. Absolutely not. Now, this is the crazy part. We are fed, just like you illuminated, we are fed by giving, which sounds incredibly counterintuitive because we must now. Is rest important? Is rejuvenation important? Right? Is time away important? Is alone time super important? Absolutely, for the masculine energy to recharge. But I can honestly feel, yes, there is time for rest. I must sleep. I must have time to journal and meditate and do all of my self-care. But I can honestly feel deep in my body, right, that I cannot ever give you enough. That every time I give you, Paige, and every time I would give the feminine in whatever capacity, whether it was one of my kids, right, whether it was a friend, whether it was someone, on our team, whatever the case may be, is I cannot give enough. I need a purpose in giving. We teach a really powerful piece of content called The Masculine Voyage. And it reminds me, it's the 6 stages in which the masculine travels through in life. And by the way, they can be found on our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about that.
So it seems like,
yeah,
with so much giving coming from men, from the masculine core energy, where's the line that butts up against with like people pleasing and overextension? And I know that those are more characteristics of women, right? Women stepping forward into that masculine energy and over giving and over providing and over serving. Do men experience that same opportunity with crossing that boundary into a toxic behavior?
Yeah, I think what we have seen, certainly in our work and our research and our personal work, our individual work, in ways in which we support our clients, is that I agree with you. People pleasing, right, is more of an innate wounded feminine trait. And yes, can the masculine do too much and become exhausted? And that then it hurts our health and our being and our mindfulness and all of that, for sure. That's why it's super important. And what it came to me intuitively just a few moments ago, we must rest, gentlemen. We must rest. We must nap in the middle of the afternoon, right? We must get ample sleep. We must go into areas and times of meditation and mindfulness and inner growth and alone time and time that is only for us. When we receive that, then we can go, quote, back into the game and give and give and give and give. But they both are true. They both must be in place in order for us to give to our women in the capacity that they are worthy of, right? Of receptivity. We must rest. What happens is the toxic masculinity too often comes forward when it's go, 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 serve, 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 work, 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 and there's no rest for the weary, as they say, right? That's where it goes south. And then if we are putting all of our masculine forward energy into our work, into our careers, what is left to give to our feminine partners? That's where we have so much. And so then we have those really uncomfortable conversations. Well, he's providing, he's working his ass off. He's doing everything to give to me in that capacity, but I never see him. We never have alone time. We don't have date nights. Our sex is minimal, if there at all. We don't have those moments in which I feel like I am able to receive his giving outside of his career. Because so often, as we know, so many men's identity is enmeshed with their career. Because when they're at work, they give, 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 go, 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 conquer, 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 go find that purpose, go have that fight, right? So necessary in the masculine journey. Where it goes south, right, is that we don't have enough left because we haven't taken the opportunity to find rest and rejuvenation in order to serve, support, and to give to our feminine partner.
Wow. Yeah, so well said. I can think of several instances in my own life where the man has just worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. Because you're right, he's doing his best to provide and support and make money and provide in that way. But then whenever he comes home, there is nothing else to provide. And so providing attention is also a way in which he can provide. And it's so important to provide attention, but also provide security and protection. And I thank you for that all the time. Like, thank you for giving me your attention. Like, thank you for giving me your companionship. Thank you for giving me your ears. Thank you for listening to me. That attention and connection provides me so much and brings a nice harmony to everything else that you provide me too. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And I'm going to say this, I received that. And thank you for the compliment. See, there, I can lean forward in my feminine energy and be receptive to her giving there, right? But the vast majority of time, I need the necessary burden of giving to Paige. I'll just, here we are. It's like we could go on and on and on and on. So I'm going to kind of turn and pivot and lead us towards some completion of this conversation. As we always say, great conversations are never completed. They're just paused. And so we're going to move into a pause in just a moment. But I want to say this because I think it's really powerful, and it gives you a little bit of unveiling into our personal relationship and you know to honor us. But I want to say this is super important, and we can continue this conversation certainly when it comes to leaning into the polarity of the masculine and feminine when it comes to sex. It is super important, right, for the feminine to receive the man sexually, right? And that so much conflict has taken place with masculine and when the polarity has switched. So it is my responsibility to pursue sexually Paige, right? And for her to surrender to the receptivity of that, which can be really, really, really hard, especially when we have been traditionally in different roles. So I want to, and that's for another conversation, but I wanted to also say that too, that it's absolutely a reality, right, for the man to pursue and to give to her sexually, and for her to receive that. And therein lies potentially, right, some even more profound connection. And when it does get reversed, it can be really, really, really challenging. So I just wanted to say that, and that can be left for another conversation. But thoughts on that, babe?
Fantastic. Yeah, I agree completely. It's changed. Polarity has changed our relationship and really enhanced it. And it's really evolved into a beautiful, beautiful partnership. And it was beautiful when it started too. And now it's just beyond what I for sure, maybe you too, could have imagined. And they're little, just like little small shifts in the way that each of us show up as individuals, which together then changes the dynamics of the relationship as a whole. And just a little shift here, a little shift there, a little shift here, a little shift there, and being committed to making mistakes and being committed to the aligned outcome for the partnership is what's going to keep you two in harmony and toward that successful, flourishing, magnetic, radiant relationship, powerful, passionate relationship.
So beautiful. Oh, that felt really good. That was beautiful. I love what you said, committed to making mistakes. Y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Did y'all see that? Committed to making mistakes. When we commit to making mistakes, that simply means we're taking action. And we're taking action toward an outcome, toward resolution in conflict, toward a more flourishing, powerful, passionate relationship. And so I agree with you, sweetie. And it's been an incredible ride in so many ways. We've just begun. And I cannot wait to see what's next, certainly for you and me, and hopefully that this conversation has been an inspiration and provided some clarity and some information and insight to this understanding of masculine and feminine energy moving forward. And the conversation will continue, I'm sure. So we'll go ahead and pause it there. Thank you all for being here at the Daring Deeply podcast. I'm David Lea. She's
Paige Stuart.
She's Paige Stuart. Yeah, with Daring Deeply. As I always say, friends, if you are interested in knowing more on how we work with our clients one-on-one and in group coaching capacities, in retreat events, we do have retreats for men, retreats for men. I said it twice because we're so excited about it. Brand new, by the way. Retreats for men, retreats for women, and retreats for couples as well. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, please let us know. We can be found all over the social media platforms, and the website is daring-deeply.com. And we'd love to have a conversation if you're interested in knowing more of how we serve and support. So we are here to do that for you. And as I always say, you can always dare deeply. And I think that's it.
That's all. We'll see you next time.
We'll say goodbye. Thanks, Paige.
Bye.
Bye-bye.